Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Wingervasio, and today we're going to be covering Chapter 3, Lesson 3.2b, Factoring Expressions. We've already spoken about what an expression is, so today we're going to talk about factoring and what factoring is and how you factor an expression. Reference pages to this can be found in our Google Classroom titled 3.2b Textbook. Remember, you would need to write down 3 important things in your notes for this video. Let's go ahead and get started with our vocabulary. So our only vocabulary we have today is factoring. What is factoring? Factoring an expression is when you write the expression as a product. Now, when you write something as a product, we can often use parentheses. Now, I think about factoring an expression as making it look like the distributive property. Now, the distributive property does require parentheses, so it requires grouping. I have here an example, 6x minus 4. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the expressions today. And what we need to do is we need to group them in a way where we're going to we're going to distribute out a term. So how are we going to take out a term here? How are we going to group this? So I'm going to go ahead and show you in our examples today. All right, so I have here 2 examples, and we're going to factor out these 2 examples. Now, to factor any expression out, we need to look for their GCF. What is a GCF? GCF stands for greatest common factor. Greatest common factor. That means the number that they have in common, that when you multiply it, and it's the greatest. Okay, so I have here 24x minus 18. So we're going to think about a number that they both have in common that you can multiply it with. So if I think about a number, I notice that 3 times 8 is going to be 24. And I notice that 3 times 6 is going to be 18. Now, since they both have the 3 in common, that is a common factor. But it is not the greatest common factor. So can you think about another number that's greater? If you guess 6, you are correct. 6 times 4 is going to be 24, and 6 times 3 is going to be 18. Notice how the 6 is the common factor they have in common, and it is the greatest. So since that's the greatest, we're going to use that number to factor out. So we're going to use that number outside to factor, take out that term. And then, so what we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves, we're trying to get to here, this problem right here. So we're going to ask ourselves, 6 times what gives me 24x? So how am I going to get 24x? So 6 times what? I notice 6 times 4, and since that x is there, 6 times 4, x is going to give me 24x. Now, 6 times what? Let me go ahead and put the sign that was here. Now notice I'm just going to go ahead and drop down that sign. 6 times what is going to give me 18? 6 times 3. So 6 times 3 is going to give me 18. And again, notice I'm always using the sign that's in the that they had in the beginning right there. So since it's a subtraction, I'm going to put a subtraction. Now, something I also want to point out, if you notice, I'm using the numbers here to fill in right here and the number here to fill in right here. Those are the numbers that go in our grouping. So our final answer for our factored out problem is going to be 6 parentheses 4x minus 3. That's it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next example. Again, we're going to look to see if they have a number in common, 6x and 27. And I notice they have a 3. Is that the greatest? I believe so. So 3 times 2 is going to be 6, and 3 times 9 is going to be 27. Now, since this is the greatest number they have in common, when you factor, we're going to use that 3 outside, close the parentheses. And again, you're going to ask yourself, 3 times what is going to give us, again, we're trying to get to this problem to here. So 3 times what is going to give us 6x? 3 times 2x. So 3 times 2x gives us 6x. 3 times what, and what sign was being used? Minus. So we're going to put a minus. 3 times what gives us 27? So we're going to say 3 times 9. So 3 times 9 gives us 27. Bring down this minus. So there you go. Notice this matches with this. We always want to make sure that they match. And when it matches, we know that we're factoring it correct. And if you notice also, we are using the same terms in here for our parentheses. Here for our parentheses. So once again, our final answer for this problem is going to be 3 parentheses 2x minus 9. That's our factored out answer for this problem. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the next example. We have for our next example, they're asking us to factor out fractions. Now, factoring out fractions can be a little bit complicated to look to see what they have in common. So since it's a little bit more difficult, the book went ahead and gave you what to factor out. So they're going to tell you what to factor out. They're asking you for the first example to factor out the half. So 1/2 will be written outside parentheses. So they're asking you 1/2 times what is going to give us 1/2 x. So 1/2 times what? 1/2 times x will give us 1/2 x. 1/2 times what? And don't forget there's a sign right there, so put a plus. 1/2 times what gives us 3/2? Well, 1 times 3 is going to be 3. We'll go ahead and put that 3, that sign there. 1 or 2 times what gives us 2? 2 times invisible 1. So 2 times 1 is going to be 2. What do you know? This matches with that. So this will be our factored answer right here. Now, if you notice, I have here 1/2 x plus 3. We don't necessarily have to have that 1. So to rewrite this problem, to make it more simpler, it could just look like that. That 1 is an invisible 1. And there's your factored answer. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the next one. So again, what did they ask you to take out? They're asking you to take out the 1/5. So we're going to take out 1/5 and put the parentheses there. 1/5 times what is going to give us 1/5 x? Again, we're trying to make this look like that. 1/5 times x gives us 1/5 x. 1/5 times what? And don't forget there's a subtraction, so we'll put a subtraction. 1/5 times what gives us 4? 1 times 4 gives us 4. So we have here 4. 5 times what gives us 5? Because we're trying to get to 5 here. 5 times 1. So now we have here 5 times 1 is 5. So this looks like that. And once you get to that, that means you have your correct factored answer. Now again, the book won't have the answer written as 4/1, so I'm going to rewrite this as 1/5 parentheses x minus, instead of 4/1, what's this 4/1 really mean? Just 4. So that's the same thing. So this will be your answer for the factored fraction. Okay? So this is a fraction example. Let's go ahead and take a look at another example, our last example. This one's going to be factoring out a negative number. Now, factoring out a negative number is just the same or similar to factoring out a positive number, except now there's a negative. So if the book tells you what to factor out, go ahead and follow that. So the book is telling us to factor that. Here's our expression. Here's our expression. So we're going to go ahead and factor out. So when it's out, we're going to put this outside the parentheses, -2. And what we're trying to get is to from here to there. So -2 times what gives me p, or -4p. So -2 times what gives us -4p. Well, -2 times 2 gives me -4. All I'm missing is a p. -2 times what, and don't forget there's a plus, is going to give me 10. Well, I know a negative times a positive is a negative, but I need a positive 10, so a negative times a negative is going to give me a positive. And since I need it to be 10, it's going to be 5. So we have -2 times 2 is -4p. -2 times -5 is going to be positive 10. And what operation was in the middle? Plus. So there is your same problem right here, but then this is your factored out answer right there. Okay? Let's take a look at the next example. I have here, it says to take out the -4, so I'm going to take out the -4, parentheses, and then we're trying to get from here to here. So -4 times what is going to give me negative, oops, let me go ahead and erase this really quick. -4 is going to, times what is going to give me -12r. So -12r. -4 times 3 is going to give me -12, and all I need to include is an r. Then -4 times what? Let me go ahead and put the sign. -4 times what is going to give us a positive 20? Well, -4 times a -5, I notice, is going to give me a positive 20. Notice these signs right here. A negative times a negative is going to give me a positive 20. So I'm going to put that's 20. So this would be our factored answered right here. Oops, that's a 20 right there. So -4 parentheses 3 r minus a -5. That would be our factored answer. Again, if there's anything in this video that didn't make sense to you, if I've been going too fast or it just you're completely lost, go ahead and watch the video again for the examples. Let's go ahead and have you go ahead and try this on your own on the next page. So for this, if you can go ahead and write this on the same paper and answer these questions 1, 2, and 3 and match it with A, B, C. So the left is going to be the expression, the right is going to be the factor expression. Go ahead and match that. Do this on the same paper as your notes, and then we will go over this tomorrow. Okay? All right. Now there is a pop quiz. I have 3 questions here, so if you've been following along with the video, you should get majority of these 3 questions correct. So 2 out of the 3. I would like you to do this exit ticket on the same paper as your notes and on the same paper as your on your own. So everything is on the same paper today. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, work it out, and then have your answers ready. You're going to see in this video that there's going to be a pop-up for you to take a quiz. I've already had and created the quiz on Edpuzzle, so when you're ready to answer the questions, go ahead and answer it. It is multiple choice, so go ahead and fill it in, but you must show work on your paper. I would like to see this work tomorrow. Okay? All right. Finally, for tomorrow, today you already took notes in class, the 3 important facts. You have your on your own completed. Your exit ticket should be completed. That's the pop quiz. This should all be on the same paper, okay? And then your completed wrap journal that you did in class today. This is after the quiz. That needs to be finished as well. So and turned in. And if you didn't turn it in today, you may turn it in tomorrow, but it is late. So this should have been turned into the sub today. All right, the only thing you need to do for tonight is complete page 3.2b, 1 through 15. It's called Homework Textbook, and this could be found in your Google Classroom. Okay, so that's the only thing that you need to do today. There's no videos to watch. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.